you definitely want to make sure that you're taking advantage of this. And I mentioned to you earlier that we were going to show you the correct way to put those sandbags. So you want to use something like a tarp or some type of plastic, which I don't have right now, but just using my jacket, for example, you want to lay that up against the front of your door or the area that you are trying to protect from some of that flooding. And then with that sandbag, put it right up in that area as well. We're obviously here in the aftermath, so things have calmed down quite a bit in just the last hour since we've made it to the downtown area. But you can kind of see behind me the presence of law enforcement that's here. And this is just one area of downtown. The entire area completely blocked off, several detours. It took me more than an hour to even get to our parking garage, which is here on Orange in Washington. Again, we know that it's a confirmed shooting. We don't have a lot of details just yet, but lots of people out here, even on the ride in. Hundreds of people walking, trying to get out of this area of downtown. The traffic build up as well. Again, with all of those detours, officials trying to move people out of the area so that they can do things like this, work the scene. What we're calling a mass shooting. Officials say a 17-year-old is in custody right now and responsible for that shooting, or those two separate shootings, according to Chief Smith. He says one took place at Central and Orange, and then a second shooting took place on south of Washington and Orange. We know that there are 8 victims total. 2 people are dead at this time, and we know that the other 6 are in stable condition in local hospitals. Officials say there were about 100 officers downtown, but looking at the crowd, we saw some video. Chief Smith says there were anywhere from 50 to 100,000 people downtown in Orlando last night, and he says that Halloween night and typically the Saturday after Halloween, which is going to be tomorrow, he says that those are some of the busiest times in downtown. It's another opportunity for people to really kind of get those final preparations in for the storm. And I just want you to think, because, you know, when you think about sandbag locations, there are these huge mounds of sand where you see people gathered around filling their sandbags. But I'm just going to take you a little lower, because this mound has been used. As you can see, people are definitely taking heed to the warnings out there, filling their sandbags, taking them back in preparation for those outer bans from Helene that we are expecting later today. Julie, this search still very much active. As you can see, we just had a rush of deputies come right to this area. We're at the corner of Rock Hill Street and Lombardi Drive. Some coming on shift, regrouping. You can see they're huddled up, I'm assuming before they head back out to continue that search. Well, Eric, yeah, it's still a very active scene. First responders showing up now as we speak. You can see that where this crash happened behind me on Highway 40. We're told that 53 farm workers were inside the bus when officials say it crashed with a 2001 Ford Ranger truck. You can see it here, still pretty mangled on that driver's side, sitting on the side of the road. Officials say that after it crashed, it was in a side swipe manner with the bus for reasons unknown at this time, but the bus then went off the road, landing on the right side of the road, crashing through a fence and into a field on its side, which you can also see is still present here as officials work this area. We know that, like you mentioned, 8 people have been confirmed dead at this time, with about 40 additional people being transported to medical facilities.
Jackie, we're walking us through all of this. The district initially told us that this student passed away. Now they're saying something else. They're saying that that student was transported to the hospital in serious condition. You have somebody there to interview the director of communications for Volusia Schools. Is that right?
Yes, that's right, Julie. We are here outside Sugar Mill Elementary School, and we have Danielle Johnson here with us, the Director of Communications Division with Volusia County Public Schools. Initially, we had, some reports that a child might have passed away, and then you mentioned just that they were in serious condition. So if we can kind of just confirm again, serious condition.
At this time, serious condition, and transported to the hospital in serious condition. At this point, it's the hospital will have to confirm if there's any official news other than serious condition.
Jackie, right after that happened, you were covering that story that day. Parents spoke to you and they said they've seen something like this happen in the past where children were injured, not killed, but injured. What are they saying now? What is this petition?
Well, Beth and Julie, you could tell last week from parents that we spoke to that this was just a devastating situation for this community, not just parents that have children that go here. And keep in mind, we're just a couple of days before summer for a lot of these children, and this is what they see. A memorial outside of the elementary school for that fourth grader that was hit. One mother we spoke to told us that at least 3 other children, her own included, have been hit either near the school or inside of the school's property by a vehicle, and that local officials have done little to nothing to put their safety concerns at ease prior to the death of this child. Now, the crash happened around 7 a.m. Friday morning when Port Orange police reported a little girl was riding her bike through the crosswalk when a driver hit her. Officials say the driver was exiting the school's entrance from dropping off another child. Police also reported that the fourth grader was taken to a nearby hospital, but despite life-saving efforts, she died. Parents say several other children have been hit over the years and lots of close calls.
My daughter knew the little girl, and she was at safety patrol and getting there early to take care of all the other children, and I don't know why she wasn't taken care of.
You can start it. Now, parents say another concern is the influx of traffic due to a new residential development that's going up around the school. Some have suggested things like additional law enforcement in the area, a crossing guard closer to the school's entrance, and again, for parents to just be, or people in general, to just be cognizant of the children in this area. Again, that memorial started being set up Friday afternoon after this little girl passed, and a petition for change has been circulating in the days since that tragic accident. About 5,000 signatures is the goal for this petition for those changes that the parents would like to see. So far, and at last check, there are just over 2,500 signatures. Live in Port Orange, Jaclyn Harold, Spectrum News.
Spectrum News 13's Jaclyn Harold is sharing the story of one woman who not only fought back against breast cancer, but did it without losing an important part of herself.
Sometimes it's the happiest people fighting the toughest battles. But in Raquel Giorgio's case, the best weapon is optimism.
And right now we are cutting it so that she expertly cuts it so that it blends in the hair that I did lose.
At first glance, you'd never know that Giorgio was fighting for her life or to save her hair.
Following the diagnosis, I called her and I said, I am going to get a wig and I need it to look exactly like my hair. And so we went through a series of 2 wigs to find the right one and colored it to look exactly like my hair and cut it to look exactly like my hair.
A diagnosis almost destined to result in the loss of her pride and joy. Or so she thought.
I was so scared that I'd look like a cancer patient, and I would venture to say that throughout this whole time, I was managed to look just like myself, and that made me feel a little more normal.
But that opportunity for normalcy came with no guarantees, as officials at Orlando Health tested the waters with a less common treatment called the Paxman cooling system.
We'd have to wet my hair down, and it would be completely wet. We then had to put conditioner on it, and then you put this cap on that you have to get as tight as possible, because if it's not tight, it's not going to work. And if we're going to go through all this, we're going to make sure it works.
Officials say when coupled with chemotherapy, the cold cap provided through the scalp cooling treatment circulates super cold water to the blood vessels that supply the hair follicles.
And as a result, they experience significantly less hair loss.
According to Orlando Health oncologist Dr. Reagan Rostifer, the treatment has proven in some cases to be pretty successful, even prompting the hospital to expand the number of machines they have.
Time to pack up.
But for Giorgio, it was a risk she was always willing to take.
My whole world came to a halt, and I was filled with fear, and I wondered if I was going to die. I wondered if I, was going to make it through chemotherapy. I wondered, it was a long journey that was outlined for me, and I just wondered if I could make it through it all.
And she has. Not only with a second chance at life, but surrounded by a support system larger than she knew she had. And with a gentle wash, a blow dry, and a cut, she's beat cancer with a healthy head full of hair. And for Raquel Giorgio, that's a battle won. It's a new school year for 5th grade teacher Sarah Hudson, and the preparation alone brings in a whole lot of excitement. For 12 years, she's created a family-like environment for the students that cross her path, pushing them to have a voice, dream big, and love education, just like her 10th grade teacher did for her.
She really instilled in me just shining my light and not dimming it for anyone.
That was the spark she needed.
She had me go up on the board and solve a math problem. And ever since then, I realized, wow, I kind of want to do that every day of my life.
But that love for teaching started with a passion for learning. And to achieve that, Hudson says attendance was and still is key.
They're gaining a lot of foundational skills from the very first day that they step on this campus. It's not even just also academics, it's social, it's emotional.
Earlier this year, the Orange County Public School District released a report regarding absenteeism. The report suggests that in 2023, almost 24% of OCPS students were chronically absent, meaning they had at least 10 unexcused absences within a 90-day period.
Absenteeism is an issue across the country. A lot of the districts, including Orange County, have felt these numbers almost double since COVID.
Orange County School Board member Maria Salamanca says it's believed that the struggle with attendance over the past few years is largely connected to COVID, with many students still lagging in the transition from Zoom back to a traditional classroom. But there are several things in the works that the district is hoping will help to curb some of those issues. The main focus being communication with parents.
High school parents get a call after first period. That's around 9 a.m. Usually our elementary schools get around 10 a.m. and then middle schools around 11 a.m.
Followed by focus groups with parents and students to understand why children are not attending. But in the classroom, Hudson is taking the approach that her 10th grade algebra teacher unknowingly impressed upon her, using relationships and fun to keep her students engaged.
If you make this place magical, they're gonna come.
But most importantly, present. In Orlando, Jaclyn Harold, Spectrum News.